Here's where you guys want to lean in and listen. If you guys are moving daily, intentionally daily, moving towards the progressive realization of a worthy goal, you are 100% successful. That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah, there's going to be moments where you're not going to be happy. It's okay, but you have to step out of that and realize that what you're doing is moving towards that goal every day, and it will be achieved. What's up, internet friends, founders, and the Entrepreneur Curious? You've made it, and you're here. It's Venture Daily, news bits from a founder's perspective. What's up, guys? I hope you are having a wonderful day today. It's a Friday after all. I'm glad that you guys are here with me. Good morning for many of you guys out there. Good afternoon for some of you on the other side of the world. Today, what do we want to talk about? Let's just jump right into it. There's a couple of articles that passed my desk, and I wanted to give you guys a founder's perspective around them. The first is Stop Searching for Happiness. Stop searching for happiness. What you really want is meaning. Okay, so there's probably going to be plenty of opportunities for me to jump right in here and talk about this as we go through the article. And the second one is Reinventing yourself can make you less happy. And that's actually what I'm going to be talking about in today's final word for founders and community. So it's going to be two articles, and I'm going to roll right into it. Even though I haven't read the article just yet, I'm going to give you guys my perspective on having reinvented myself multiple times over my life. It can seem like a daunting idea to reinvent yourself and start all over, but I actually find it extremely exciting. You put yourself back in a beginner mindset. You put yourself back in a place where you really have to humble yourself because you don't know anything. And what's great about that, and it might seem superficial on the onset, but I tell you, there's nothing wrong with having a forced mechanism to force yourself to be humble and to realize that you're not anywhere close to the top of the ladder. And there's something that I enjoy about having to put myself in a position below or beneath or under other people. I don't know if I've fully baked this idea yet, but it's come up in my gut one of the reasons why I'm reading this article to you guys is because it rose up in my gut as I saw the title, and I was like, you know what? I actually enjoy being in that position. So let's talk about this, guys. Stop searching for happiness on this Friday. What you're really searching for is meaning. And does reinventing, could it be something that actually harms you? I don't think so. But let's check it out, guys. It's Venture Daily. Stop chasing happiness. What you really want is meaning, and you can have it now. This is by Daunting. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy visited NASA headquarters for the first time. While touring the facility, he introduced himself to a janitor carrying a broom. When Kennedy asked him what he did there at NASA, the janitor offered a simple yet extraordinary reply. He said, quote, "Mr. President, I'm helping put a man on the moon." Something as mundane as cleaning a building accrues much more meaning when it's taken into the full context. No matter how small we feel our role is, what we do really matters. We aren't necessarily happy while sweeping a floor or dealing with difficult customers or caught up in the busy work of managing a growing business, but we're still doing our part. The janitor at NASA knew his efforts were making history, and that made all the difference. Stop chasing happiness at work. Stop chasing happiness at work. Stop chasing happiness at work? Well, given that the average person spends 90,000 hours at work in a lifetime, wrote Susan Peppercorn in a story for Harvard Business Review, it's important to figure out how to feel better about the time you spend earning a living. Like anything else in life, whether you're building your own venture, climbing in your career, parenting, or even tending to a garden, you can't expect every moment to be blissful. We have bills to pay, groceries to buy, screaming kids who need to be fed. If you set your happiness as your primary goal, you can end up with feeling the opposite, writes Peppercorn. This is because happiness, like all emotions, is a fleeting state, not a permanent one. An alternative solution is to make meaning your vocational goal. Meaning. So I sat down with an individual just yesterday. And one of the questions he asked me is why? Why am I building a venture fund? And I gave him the reason. The reason is very simple. I want to scale myself. I love helping people. The problem is that I can only go so far when it comes to helping people online. Yes, I've built communities, I explained to him. I said, yes, I've built communities, and one of the problems that I have, and one of the things that I've learned to be able to balance, is going too deep with individuals in the community, especially if I've, through pattern recognition, realized that this individual might not be, have the gumption, the assertiveness, and the initiative to actually do what they say they want to do. In order for me to scale myself, I want to help even more people. And I want to help people in a way that I haven't helped before, which is deploying capital to them. And that's the reason why I want to build a venture fund. One of the things that I told him, though, and I think this is really crucial, is I told him that when it comes to understanding success, now, I don't know if he was convinced here, but let me try it out on you guys. I've said this before, by the way. When it comes to feeling successful or being successful, I always like to say that you can have success anywhere. Success is merely the progressive realization of attaining or achieving daily a goal, a worthy goal that you're after. Meaning, you can have success all through high school. Why? Because you're daily progressing towards achieving that diploma. Same with college. You can have success every day in college as you are intentionally moving forward and achieving a worthy goal. Now, when it comes to the workforce, do you have a goal in mind? Do you have a venture? Do you have a project? Do you have a goal in mind? Every day that you move intentionally forward towards that goal, you are being successful. Now, many people, like this article is talking about, chase happiness. Happiness is an emotion. Yeah, are there many days in my startup, are there many days in building what I'm building where it's just the grind and you feel like you're getting nothing out of it and you feel like nothing's happening? That's where you need to remove yourself. If you are, here's where you guys want to lean in. Here's where you guys want to lean in and listen. If you guys are moving daily, intentionally daily, moving towards the progressive realization of a worthy goal, you are 100% successful. That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah, there's going to be moments where you're not going to be happy. It's okay, but you have to step out of that and realize that what you're doing is moving towards that goal every day, and it will be achieved as long as you don't quit. That is the key, my friends. This is the key. Let's get back into this article. Happiness, like all emotions, is a fleeting state, not a permanent one. An alternative solution to make meaning in your vocational goal. Well, how does that? Well, the dopamine hit that comes from a reward like a successful business presentation or the prestige of a new position will quickly fade over time and will feel bad and left with the question, now what? Research from Emily Estvani-Smith and others have found that rather than chasing happiness, we should focus on understanding the why behind what we do. That's exactly what I just said, and I didn't even read this article, guys. Cha-ching! When I first launched my company, it was easy to believe that the initial wave of happiness brought on by starting something new would last. But that's not what happened. Instead, we experienced challenges like our startups do. We messed up and learned from our mishaps. Had I quit when things got rocky, my business wouldn't have lasted through the year. I had to focus on my why, creating the best product I could to help make people's lives easier, collaborating with a great team and supportive environment, providing for my family. What I've discovered over the past 13 years as a CEO is that purpose in both our personal and professional lives is a key to enduring a sense of well-being. Upon becoming the youngest president in the nation's history, Theodore Roosevelt was quoted as saying, quote, "Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I have envied a great many people who have led difficult lives and led them well." Maybe you'll discover that where your work doesn't align with your values. You'll need to seek something new that reflects your bigger picture and longer-term vision. But that's okay and necessary. When it comes to the day-to-day grind, the smaller monotonous tasks we have to perform on a regular basis, like becoming more conscious about the services we are providing, Esfani notes, is ultimately what helps us find meaning. Guys, absolutely. You guys have to Always remind yourself of the why. Every time that I get stuck in a ditch, every time that, mostly just mentally, when I feel like the conversations I'm having aren't working out, or the expectations, that's my problem. But when the expectations of things don't turn out the way that I expected them to be, yeah, it's easy to get salty. It's easy to move inwards and say, oh, it's not working. I want to quit, or it's not working out as the way that I plan. Look, I can tell you as a founder, as an entrepreneur, that I am right there with you, 100%. I'm right there with you. I struggle with it. I struggle with days where I'm doing my work, I'm doing the grind, putting out content, emailing, connecting with people, and it feels like nothing is moving in the direction that I want it to, or at least in many cases, the pace in which I want to. In these moments, in these dark moments, my friends, remember the why. Remember why you're doing what you're doing. And here's the thing, for some of you guys out there that might be listening, if you don't know your why, if you don't have your why, that's kind of a problem. Actually, I say kind of a problem. That is a relatively big problem, because you don't have purpose. You don't have a goal to progressively move yourself to. And that can seem like an endless loop. It can seem like purgatory, right? And so, yes, there are ways that you can liven up your work at work right now. But those are only going to placate your feelings of despair, your emotions at the time. And then you're going to get back into the grind and feel like you're treading water and going nowhere, right? The thing is that might be, and just like this author said, it might be a time for you to begin to look for other opportunities outside of what you're doing, so that you can fulfill a larger purpose that is worthy of achieving. It is worthy the sweat, blood, tears. Teddy Roosevelt said pain. Absolutely. Because it's only through the pain, the suffering, the hard work, the persistence, the consistency, the discipline to not quit, right? And maybe even a little bit of the grit necessary. Trust me, when you continue to complete and you continue to go and move towards that goal, I tell you, there's nothing else better than standing on top of that mountain of something that you've been able to overcome through sheer force of brute will and grit. Find that purpose, guys. Find that why. Think of it this way. Happiness is like a sugary donut you scarf down in the morning. It's sweet, delicious, and immediately lifts your mood with a rush of endorphins. But by the middle of the day, your stomach is empty and your brain hazy. On the other hand, meaning is a full, nutritious meal your mind needs to thrive. Or as Peppercorn eloquently puts it, quote, living with meaning and purpose may not make you happy, at least in the short term. It requires self-reflection, effort, and wrestling with issues that initially can be frustrating. But when you approach work situations mindfully, with an eye towards contributing to others while honoring your personal identity, you find opportunities to practice the skills that help you find the intrinsic value in your work. So, how can you build more meaning in your work? Here are 3 steps. Maybe we should listen in here, guys. Number 1, identifying fulfilling projects. When we ask ourselves what our life's purpose is, personal development author Mark Manson says that what we're really asking is, what can I do with my time that is important? As entrepreneurs, we're constantly juggling projects that all seem to require our immediate attention. But feeling fulfilled means regularly asking ourselves whether the struggle is worth the cost. What are we willing to tolerate? And what are the professional experiences that make us feel most alive? Rediscovering how much we love writing or building something can guide us back to our intrinsic, natural motivation. Find work. Find work. Find work, my friends, that brings you a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling towards building something that you can own. I think that's one of the things, if I sit here and think about it for a second, guys, I think that's probably one of the things that drives me. There's many things that drive me that are all part of the process of my passion and my drive. But I would say that one of the things that drives me is the feeling of being able to ensure that the work that I do is owned by me. Now let's sit on this for a second. I think what I have struggled with in my early career is the fact that I was building something for someone else. You know, I was in my early career, I was an engineer developer for a large Fortune 50 company. And I wasn't mature enough at the time to really be able to communicate this idea. But as I sit here now, I think one of the things that tugged at my heartstrings back when I was an engineer for this company is the idea that I'm working and I'm building based on requirements. I'm building based on product development roadmaps. I was building on someone else's vision for a product that, quite frankly, I wasn't that excited about. It wasn't something that was like, I woke me up in the morning and said, yes, I really enjoy building this type of professional, I was building an eye care site for internal education for eye care doctors for Johnson & Johnson. Yeah, it's not sexy, guys. That was actually a sad violin.
Nope.
But, and again, I wouldn't be able to communicate it at the time, but one of the things that I think really tugged at me was the fact that I was building something that I wasn't passionate about, I wasn't necessarily excited about, and at the end of the day, all of my efforts and all of my work went to someone else. I couldn't take it home with me. I could have pride on a resume and say that I helped build this platform and these types of things, but at the end of the day, it was never mine. It was never controlled by me. And I think in many ways, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed. Being able to take on as I've removed myself from corporate America and working for myself as a founder and operator, is that the work that I build, the things that I do, right, these are wholly mine. They're created by me and they get to serve me. I think that's a powerful thing. They get to serve me and help me grow where I want to go. Does that make sense? And so for many of you guys, you might need to find that. Might need to find an opportunity so that you can go off and earn and work and be able to say, this is mine. This is something I've created. This is something I've worked for, instead of working for someone else. Number 2, pay it forward by helping others find meaning. This is something that I love doing, just as a part of the work that I do, is that I hope that people want to come along in the journey and learn from what I'm doing. Contributing to others' well-being is strongly tied to feeling fulfilled. As Peppercorn highlights in her article, we should share best self narratives with coworkers so that they too can identify their own authentic self-expression. Creating an environment that signals a sense of purpose in your organization by sharing anecdotes of when you've seen your peers at their best and asking them to do the same. I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about the work that I do is I get to do it online and I get to be able to communicate to you guys and have you guys be part of the journey. Your comments, your inbound emails, your DMs, they mean the world to me. And I get them now and again. Yeah, I get maybe 1 or 2 a week. But I used to get a ton when I was doing it in the crypto world. Mostly people asking me to shill coins. But I love inbound. I love helping people, and I think that helps me continue on this journey because as I get to build, I get to have people watch me. I get the opportunity in some cases for people to help me co-build stuff, and that brings me a lot of purpose and a lot of joy. And the more that people that you can invite into your story of building and doing things, you win. Number 3, live in a larger story. Quote, there's not one big cosmic meaning for all. There's only the meaning, and we give it to our life. An individual meaning, an individual plot, like an individual novel, a book for each person, says Anais Nin. The real reason behind the story of the janitor who helped land the man on the moon is this. All of our unique gifts, talents, and experiences help shape the world around us, whether we're aware of it or not. Our friends, family, clients, colleagues, and the larger network we belong to all are directly impacted by our attitude and daily efforts. In other words, if we only allow other people to define us, well, then we're always going to be unhappy. We'll leave it right there, guys. We'll leave it right there. Don't let other people define you. Define yourself. Be yourself. Go off and do something amazing. And I'm not telling you to quit your jobs. I'm telling you to consider how can you create goals? How can you consider goals that are worthy, that are worth working for, that require effort? I tell you, sometimes at the end of the day, what's interesting about this article, I will say, is I don't know if I have ever pursued happiness. I don't think I've ever pursued happiness in life. Happiness has always been really an afterthought for me when it comes to the work that I do. Now that I think about this, and if you just give me a moment here while you're listening or watching, I really have it's never been within the framework of my decision making, this whole idea of happiness. It's, for me, I've always been motivated by work that is exciting, work that is challenging, and work that has a progression opportunity. I think that's probably one of the bigger parts of it, is that there's a progression opportunity with the work. I can grow, I can earn more. That's the whole idea. The more that I grow, the more that I learn, the more that my earning potential increases. Like that's like a big part of it. But I've never considered like, hey, I need to do this to make me happy. I don't know if that's been. I don't know. I don't know who this article is targeted to, because I've never in my life searched for happiness as a goal. And I don't think I've ever met anyone that's out there that's searching for happiness. I think at the end of the day, most people are searching for meaning. And so I almost wonder if this article is one of those articles that is wishy-washy because it assumes other people are searching for happiness when they really aren't. I think most people are searching for purpose and meaning within the day. It's like, hey, does my life matter today? Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments below. Have you ever searched for meaning, or have you ever searched for happiness? Have you ever been one of those individuals that says, I need to be happy? I almost feel like right now what's rising in my gut is those people don't actually exist. And this might just be a fluff piece. I wonder. Let's get into this next one. The surprising reason why reinventing yourself can make you less happy. Interesting. Less happy. Gotcha, bitch. Less happy. This one's by Ariane Cohen. You might think twice before you morph into a motorcyclist or entrepreneur or artiste. A new study out in the University of Georgia finds that good old American reinvention is often a bad idea because people who reinvent themselves often become less happy. Let's finish this article before I give you guys my thoughts. In the American culture, there's a notion that we have a lot of freedom and you can do whatever you want and reinvent yourself. And that's a positive thing, says Brian Haas, associate professor at the University of Georgia. But are you really better off? Are you happier than people who do not change? We found it's not the case. That's interesting. So not changing who people are is actually better. The researchers examined personality data from the US and Japan and noted a major identity changes over the course of several years were associated with plummets in well-being in Americans. This was not the case for reinventors in Japan. The reason? Social webs. American individualism includes the freedom to choose new friends and partners and leave your family and hometown behind. That sense of freedom might mean we don't need to keep those relationships in check. And that's likely what is contributing to this effect, says co-author Michelle Van Dellen, an associate professor of psychology at the University of Georgia. Quote, Americans do not need to be adaptable because we can just start a new relationships or opt out of them easily. In Japan, social webs are highly valued and thus more flexible, adapting to major shifts without severing relationships. Underlying this is a difficult truth to swallow about Americans. Here we go. We Americans value consistency and poorly tolerate big identity changes. That's interesting. You've likely seen this in your own life. When you become single or coupled as a student or parent, your friends disappear. You heard it here first. You may quickly find yourself growing apart from your peers when you show up in that pink mohawk. Interesting. A short article here, but some food for thought. According to this study from the University of Georgia, changing identities creates make you less happy. This idea of happiness, once again, covering both articles. I just don't know. Guys, these two articles have got me a little confounded here. So I have reinvented myself multiple times. I have reinvented myself from a consultant to building, to being a founder of a different of startups in the car world, in the cryptocurrency world, now moving into the venture capital world. So I've changed my identity pretty drastically, at least 3 major times. Completely changing the narrative, completely changing the content that I create, completely changing a lot of the aspects around me. Now I'm still the same person. I'm still a founder through and through, and I'm always working with venture capital and startups and other entrepreneurs and these types of things. But I will say, and I will admit here, and we're just moving right in here into the final word for founders, guys. I will say that changing identities is a daunting task. It requires a lot of self-reflection. I'll give you an example. When I jumped into cryptocurrency and I finished up my startup, I went on a hiatus of sorts, a temporary retirement from the consulting world, and I had just finished building VinWiki, which is a car app that's growing by leaps and bounds. 400 people per day, 4,000 posts per day, over 300,000 users, and we're making really good money in terms of annual recurring revenue. So I went into the car world. I went from the consulting world to the car world, and I steeped myself in the car world for about 2 years, going to car meetups, driving the Lambo and the R8, and driving the race car around, and promoting that startup, which has been successful here. And moving from that, going from the car dude, the car guy with the Lambo that spits flames out of the back of their exhaust, and moving into the crypto world. And moving into the crypto world was a drastic change. I had to make it. I had to fully envelop myself and jump myself into the cryptocurrency world as someone who is not only an engineer developer, but as someone that should be taken seriously, because I know how to do this stuff. I know how to build this stuff. And so many of you guys know, I created content. I created thousands of videos per year, multiple thousands of videos per year. Actually, one year I think I created 2,100 videos in one single year. Amazing. It was like I averaged like 6.2 videos per day. But that was exactly what I needed to do to get the self-education in cryptocurrency, get the clout that I needed, get the influence that I needed, get the gravity, I needed to attract eyeballs. And so like diving deep into a new identity, diving deep into changing a career, for me, it is daunting. There is a nervousness and anxiety about it, but at the same time, like, I love starting over. And this is kind of the beginning of my talk today about being forced into humility, is that it's really uncomfortable to start over. I mean, you have all this backlogged effort in a career or a particular market that you're in, and completely changing to a different market. You're going to have to leverage all of the learnings from a different context and bring them over to a new context. But even with all those learnings, you still don't know jack about still don't know what you don't know. And so you're required to reach out. You're required to network. And I think for me, that right there, if I can hone in on it, guys, listen closely. This is what you need to know. Whenever you start over, the number one thing that you have to do is you have to begin to network. And this is what excites me. You see, right now I'm in the process of building a venture fund, right? And so you guys see that I'm interviewing tons of venture capitalists. I need to get an education in it. I need to learn the other side of the table, right? For me, this forcing mechanism of changing my identity and changing my career and my project work from something completely different, from what I was doing before, is a force mechanism for me to go out there, talk with people, and network. This is the answer to the changing of identities. Okay, this is the answer to when you're jumping off the cliff. I see this as a good thing, but this is the way that I'm created. This is the way that I'm built. I'm built to have to force myself to get out of my comfort zone. I have to force myself to go out and grow more. And that's just the way I'm built. I don't know if everyone's like that. And so when it comes to this last article, that when you reinvent yourself, it can make you less happy, I completely agree. Because it was easy. It was easy to continue on and do what you're doing ad infinitum, until the day that you die. Yeah, it's easy, but you're not happy. You're not fulfilled. You're not being challenged. You're not growing, right? And so I just wonder sometimes. How long for many people, how long is it going to take for you to be fed up with it? To finally wake up and say, you know what? I just really hate this job. I just really hate what I'm doing. I just can't stand it anymore. And yeah, it's a daunting task to change my identity, change careers, and begin anew. But guys, this is the rise of the internet. If someone like me, a Pablo Instagram like me, right? Someone can go from one complete area and career to another by merely using YouTube, by the way, and online social networks to slide in DMs and network and reach out. Like, if someone like me can do it, then anyone can do it. The thing is people don't realize how much work it is. Like, I am emailing and sliding into DMs and asking people for audiences, asking people for conversation, asking people for interviews, asking people for coffee and sit downs and lunch. Like, I do that all day, every day. Why? I'm in grind mode. I'm in learning mode. And it's a ton of work. And every day, I don't have to do any of this. I don't have to do any of this ever. Of course, I'm not going to proceed in my journey. I'm not going to make progress in what I want to do. But for me, it's almost like I have to put myself in a ride or die, do or die situation to get my ass up and realize how serious this really is. Because if I don't do this work, family ain't going to eat. If I don't do this work, we're not going to be able to survive. For me, that pressure is a forcing mechanism that I welcome. So when it comes to this last article, guys, that changing your identity makes you less happy, I can see how that is true, 100%. I can see how that's true. It doesn't work for me, though. It doesn't work for me. Changing identity, bring it on. I got one life to live. How cool would it be at the end of my life? And it's going to be cool, by the way. The narrative that I'm going to have when all this is said and done, the narrative that I'm going to have at the end of my life is I did X, I became Y, then I became Z, then I tried A, then I tried B, then I became C, and then I succeeded with D, and then I started over and I started back over at 0, and I did it again. And you know what? For me, that's a narrative worth living. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about searching for meaning or searching for happiness and switching careers or changing your identity. What are your thoughts, guys? I hope you guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I just love tickling your eardrums. Tickling your eardrums, guys, and being part of your day. I hope this was encouraging, guys. Stay tuned. We got lots more on the horizon. We got some great interviews posted this weekend, and I'm going to be on the track. Guys. So stay tuned to the Twitters, guys. Oh, check out the newsletter, of course. Check out the newsletter. Should we do that right now? Should we do that? Yeah, let's do it.
Did you know that there's even more value than just audio or video? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at VC Hunting, and make sure to sign up for the VC Hunting newsletter, where you'll be able to get weekly news on venture capital, startups, founder stories, and the occasional wisdom extracted from Peter's brain. Go to vchunting.com to sign up. And now, back to the episode.
That's my boy Andrew Mason, who created that cut up. Well, he created the audio and I created the video. So much props to him, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next time.